11.2 is practically here. I wanted to do a full review and show you guys what's new, what's important when deciding whether or not to upgrade, and basically everything in between. Now today coincides with the release of 11.2 Beta 6 as well, and I'm going to talk about that. Really not much has changed, that's why I haven't been posting about the Beta 5 or Beta 6 releases, but still wanted to mention those. So what's new, what's changed, and should you update? Now for older devices, when jumping into the wallpaper section, you'll notice you have several new wallpapers, and this is thanks to the iPhone 8 and X marketing wallpapers. Apple has thrown them into older devices as well, which is a great change. I'm always for adding wallpapers. In the actual live section though, on iPhone 10 exclusively, you will find 3 new glitter wallpapers here that are dynamic. When you press on them, they will react, and it's a very cool effect. This is what I actually like to use for my wallpapers, Bluewood in particular. It's a really nice look, and this was something that Apple showed off in their actual release event, so it's good to see them start adding these features onto the actual iPhone release. And the calculator input lag has been fixed. When actually trying to type in some characters really quick, it would give you an incorrect attempt. Now that has been fixed, so you can do it very quickly and still get the correct result. Some of the emojis have been tweaked as well as rearranged, so Apple has been working on the emojis once again. They really like to make these right. If you take a look at the Scotch icon in particular, you'll notice it's much more detailed now on 11.2, whereas before it was kind of flat and more cartoonish looking, so more realistic looking emojis for some of them. And Apple Pay Cash Beta is here. You'll now be able to send money over to your friends through messages, and within the Wallet app, you'll get this cool new holographic card for Apple Pay Cash. Really neat, but do remember that your friends do have to be running 11.2 in order for this feature to work. On the lock screen, you will see an exclusive new grabber in the control center area over here on the iPhone 10, letting you know that it's available to drag down. This was a feature Apple also showed off in their release, and it's nice to see that become finally available, so pretty cool. Now also coinciding with this, inside of the control center widget page here, actually disabling Wi-Fi or Bluetooth will give you a white icon now, and when you do it for the first time, it has a notice letting you know it's only current for 24 hours. Then it will be re-enabled again, meaning you guys can no longer completely disable Wi-Fi or Bluetooth from the control center page, only in the settings page. And apps can now introduce subscriptions on the fly. So if you're subscribed to some sort of application, they can actually start new introductory pricing for subscriptions whenever they want without having to go into the App Store to buy an in-app purchase. And fast wireless charging has been introduced, or so they say, if you can even call it that. Actual studies have shown that the new fast wireless charging feature, which has been enabled in 11.2, doesn't charge much faster than standard wireless charging. If you guys want the fastest charge available, use the 29-watt adapter that plugs in directly into your Lightning port. Otherwise, I would still take this upgrade over the standard one, but it doesn't charge as fast as you would think it would at 7.5 watts. And all around, the performance, guys, has been night and day. For whatever reason, when I first got my iPhone 10, it was so smooth, so fast. And then when I started putting all my stuff on it, it started slowing down. I was getting lags, hangs, especially in the messages application when typing. The keyboard would just start freezing and lagging on me, especially when starting a new line. I don't know why that was, but in the newest version of the beta, it's been so much better. I mean, the responsiveness everywhere in iOS has been much improved. So I'm liking that the performance has been upgraded. It's now worthy of the iPhone 10, and I think it's only going to keep getting better from here. So a lot of optimization, lag removal, just much better performance on my iPhone 10, and especially on older devices. I noticed that jumping into the app switcher on older phones with the home button actually works much faster, twice as fast on my iPhone 8 Plus series. So I'm liking that. If you guys were having performance problems on iOS 11.1.2 or earlier, definitely upgrade just for that alone. So those are the major features in 11.2. There's still a lot of smaller stuff that has significance that I want to cover as well, starting with the boot sequence. When turning your iPhone on now, it no longer flashes midway through the boot sequence. So on the right is 11.1.2, and you notice it flashes, the Apple logo disappears for a second, and then it comes back. There's a very weird and interesting bug. Now it's been fixed, and as a result, look at that. It turns on so much faster on 11.2 than on the previous 11.1.2. So not only will your device turn on faster, it no longer flashes during the boot sequence, and I would even call that a 2 times improvement in the boot up speed. That's crazy. You'll not notice that the album artwork is more squared versus rounded on 11.2, and it kind of works, but I preferred it before, even though it cropped more of your your image out. And whenever you're deep in these settings, the handling of the titles has changed. Notice the back button and the title is offset here now. So it's going to be looking a little bit different, but still easier to navigate, I guess. Now, when you go into the power off menu, like so, when you leave it, it will no longer go to your home screen. It now goes to the lock screen automatically. And interestingly enough, if you actually hold to enter the power menu and keep holding, it'll now jump into an automatic timer off. And instead of 3 seconds, it goes to 5 seconds on 11.2. When in the widgets page, you can now just drag up to go into the text input field, whereas before you actually had to manually reach up and click to enter. Some of the animations with reduce motion enabled inside of accessibility have changed. So actually going back to your home screen, you'll notice it's a little different. Now it doesn't do that flashing anymore when going home. It just flashes home on the iPhone X, so they fixed that. As well as the control center, when actually 3D touching to enter a toggle, it doesn't really flow into it. It just appears now instead. Notice the difference or the contrast between those animations. So definitely different there. And there are actually a lot of visual tweaks to music that have been improved. So first off, the shadows have been fixed when actually playing music. Previously, sometimes they wouldn't appear when you would drag down, go back up and look behind the album art. Well, now they do, but sometimes they just wouldn't show up. It's a little glitch. Also, when actually slowly dragging up, you get this nice little fade in animation. It kind of grows in, and same when actually dragging down, whereas before it would kind of just disappear. So that's kind of cool. I'd have to say when actually bringing up this here in the background, previously you'd be able to see some of your album artwork when dragging up. That's been fixed. Kind of like a lot of visual enhancements inside of the music application. Also, when playing music and you force close the app out, it will actually fade out the music instead of abruptly ending it like before. And the actual volume scrubber has been made smaller for whatever reason. It's not harder to grab, but it is smaller. And in the control center, when starting a screen recording, you can now quickly cancel it before the countdown finishes, where previously you actually had to wait for it to finish. So that was kind of annoying. Now also, when you do start a video recording and you do your thing, so let me exit this, then come back in and stop it. Well, actually, when you click over here to stop, this prompt will no longer show up when actually viewing everything. So when I view the video and I show you guys at that same point, it will not show the stop prompt, which was kind of annoying because you'd have to crop that out if you ever used it, just like that. Also, if you notice that real quick, when I clicked on the notification when the screen recording was done, it took me directly to the video, not into the photos like it did on 11.1.2. So Apple fixed that behavior as well. And within the messages application, you'll notice that the icons over here for the camera have been updated. The camera icon, the photos have been changed, slightly tweaked interface altogether. It's been made slightly smaller, more compact on the iPhone X, as you can see here. So nice to see those consistency updates all around in iOS. All right, guys, so there it is overall for iOS 11.2. Quite a significant upgrade, fast wireless charging, improved performance, lots of little changes everywhere, Apple Pay Cash. So this is big. This is a very big one. Of course, I would recommend updating, and I'll talk about whether or not you should in just a second here. But I wanted to go ahead and mention iOS 11.2 Beta 6 and Beta 5. So the only changes I can even think that Apple would improve would be the IT correction bug. So you guys know how previously the iBug would correct to that weird symbol. Now there's been a new one where IT will actually correct to I.T. So it's a really weird one. Some people are experiencing, actually hundreds of people, and Apple most likely fixed it in this beta, and they're going to release it here in just a second instead of 11.1.3 to people. Anyways, so that's the only thing. There's bug fixes, performance improvements, and that's pretty much it for these later betas. Not much to really talk about. That's why I didn't make videos on those. And I wanted to mention that this is most likely the Gold Master GM firmware, so you guys will not see another updates once the final release is out. Very likely that it is, but we might see a beta 7, you never know. Just by the build number, I guess it might be a GM. And historically, Apple has been releasing 0.2 firmware updates in the first couple of weeks of December. So there it is for the updates. I wanted to run a speed test lastly to give you guys an impression of performance, but the animations, I mean, that's where the difference is. It is night and day for me on my iPhone X. And there we are, 10,144 multi on 11.1.2. This is what I get on my other one. So pretty close. I would not even say there's much of a difference here whatsoever. So numbers are the same, but the actual performance of the OS has improved greatly. It just feeling much sharper, much more fluid. I definitely like to see that kind of improvement. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. There it is, the latest on 11.2, and that is my full review of it. Is it worth updating to? At this point in time, absolutely. It would be a mistake even not to update to it. You'd be missing out on a lot of features, and the speed performance gains are real, as well as wireless fast charging. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed that video. Stay tuned and enjoy the update once it drops. Peace.